guys, I'm Aveline. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So, as you can probably tell, the voice is still not back to normal, but I feel a lot better. I basically just had to take a couple of days off because like sitting behind my computer actually made it all a little bit worse. I don't know how or why, but it did. So I just had to take a couple of days off to get well again, and now I feel a lot better, although I might not sound like it, but I promise I do feel a lot better. I was basically, for those of you who are unaware, because I don't know, whatever, I was basically sick from like Sunday to, I want to say like Friday or something, so instead of sitting down, although it was very, very boring, like I hate being sick because it's so boring. I hate lying in bed and just chilling. I don't like it, but my body, whenever I was trying to sit here behind my computer and do some work, I ended up getting a fever. So I guess that's my body's way of telling me to just not. So I decided to take a couple of days off to get it all under control, and I feel a lot better now. It's just that the voice is not completely back to normal, and I know I still have a throat ache, which is really annoying, but it'll go away at some point. It's fine. And also, just for those of you who are wondering, it was just a cold. Nothing else, just a cold. You can still get sick from other things, even though, like, with everything that's going on in the world, we still have other viruses? Is that the plural version of that? Whatever. We still have other stuff to, like, be careful of and stuff like that, so unfortunately, I was just a bit unlucky and ended up catching a cold, which gave me a bit of a fever and a hard time. But we're all good now. I've been good since I want to say like yesterday. I was fine the entire day. It's just the throat now. So I decided to sit down and finally record some Sims again, because I feel like whenever I go like a whole week without, or almost a whole week without doing anything Sims, it feels so weird. Unless I'm like gone, but I've been home, obviously being sick, I've just been home. But if I've been gone on a trip or something, which I haven't for obvious reasons, but then I'll not record anything for a while, like because I'm not home. But being home and not recording feels so strange. So I sat down and I decided to continue our little Disney Princess theme week, even though it's been 1.5 weeks now. I feel like I should still extend it to next week just for a couple of videos, because there were a couple of princesses that I really wanted to make builds inspired by, and unfortunately it fell right on the week that my body just decided to get sick. So I might do that. If not, like if you don't want to see that, let me know in the comments. But there's definitely a couple of princesses that's been mentioned many times in the comments section that I haven't covered yet. So also, by the way, I'm giving you guys a little bit of time to guess who this build is for. I'm pretty sure it should be very obvious from the title, but just in case it isn't, take a look, read the title. I don't know, I feel like it should be very obvious. If you have a guess, let me know in the comments. I did the same on the last build that I did, so I didn't say who it was for right away, and I ended up letting you guys basically guess, and the vast majority of you were 100% correct. I feel like doing the typical like bookworm would also kind of be obvious, like it's Belle, because she's the major bookworm. She basically lives in a little fantasy world before she goes to the castle in the movie, so I feel like it was quite obvious to title it that. But anyway, most of you also ended up guessing it right, so I feel like there was like 2 people that didn't, but that's okay, that's okay. This house though, or building, I want to say, 'cause it's not really a house, but it's a cafe. It's inspired by, I want to say almost recreated, of a picture that I saw of a New Orleans house building structure, whatever, from the French Quarter, and I decided to turn it into, I've only decorated the brick, the right version, or the right house, the right part of this build. Does that make sense? Like the right apartment building. I've only decorated that one, the bigger one of the two, simply because this video is already 30 minutes long, and I didn't know what to put in the other building either, because I just wanted to sort of focus on one of the buildings. So I decorated it so that the bottom 2 floors are a cafe. It's very cozy. It's supposed to be sort of like an apartment building turned into a cafe. It's not built to be a cafe. Does that make sense? Like, they've kind of just converted it into a cafe, sort of, especially the second floor. And then the third floor is the livable. So there's a tiny apartment up there, and it was something that was heavily requested under the other Disney builds that I've done over the past 1.5 weeks. And I really thought that it was cool. This kind of gives me an excuse to do, or not an excuse, but it gives me a way to do community builds as well, because if you guys know, if you've been following the channel for a while, community builds are not really my thing. I don't really do them a lot. I just kind of don't, like, I prefer family homes or just like homes in general. I like when buildings are livable, when they have character. I like when you can see who live in the buildings and you can kind of like come up with a story for the household in it. So that's just what I prefer. I prefer not to do community builds for that reason, basically. But because there's a livable apartment on the third floor, and because the house already is built as an apartment building, but then turned into a cafe, I was totally into this idea. Like, I was all over it. So that is what we're doing today. We're basically building a New Orleans cafe with a livable or with a like an upstairs apartment as well. And the cafe owner lives in the apartment too. So she this is her, like, she owns the whole thing, which is super, like, yeah, you go girl. She's a business lady in the making. She's a boss lady. She's super cool, very motivated, works hard. You guys know who it is. You guys know who I'm talking about, right? I find her to be one of the more relatable princesses, not gonna lie. I feel like even though she ends up living in a castle, Disney, not everyone needs to live in a castle. Not everyone needs to marry a prince, okay? It's not for everyone. Just like, we need to have other dreams than just living in castles, you know? Maybe that's just me because I don't want to live in a mansion. I would like a bigger apartment, but I don't want to live in a mansion. I feel like I explained this in the last video too. I don't like the idea of sitting in one end of a house and not knowing what's going on in the other end. No, that's not for me. We also don't have a lot of mansions here in Denmark either. It's just it's not really, I don't know. We have some castles though, but whatever. No, not a lot of mansions, no, not really. But I do find her to be one of the more relatable one of the more relatable Disney princesses, because she works so hard. She has a dream, even though her dream is kind of fueled by the passing of her dad, as far as I remember, right? Because I've only watched the movie once, unfortunately. I was actually planning on sitting down and watching it yesterday, but then I got caught up in Supernatural. Go figure. But I do find her to be one of the more relatable characters, or one of the more relatable Disney princesses. So yeah, I was really excited to do this build inspired by her. So while the cottage was kind of the Belle's cottage that I did last, was kind of how I saw Belle live after the whole story went down. Like, someone in the comments actually said they could kind of see, like, her and the Beast would still have the castle, but this would be like a summer residence sort of situation. So whenever they don't want to be in the castle, they could go to this little cottage and stay there for a while, which I thought was a cute idea, so I kind of clung on to that a little bit. But my point in saying this is that while the cottage for Belle that I did was supposed to be like the end result of Beauty and the Beauty and the Beast storyline, this is not supposed to be that. It's more supposed to be, I'm just gonna say who it's for. It's Tiana, go figure. Anyways, this is more supposed to be like her dream before she, like, this is her dream. You get what I mean? Like, I know that she ends up with a massive restaurant called Tiana's Palace. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I also did take inspiration from the interior in that, even though you don't really see a lot of it, I did take inspiration from the interior in that restaurant, although I did tone it down a little bit because it's very fancy and this is not, like, that would feel a little bit out of place in this cafe. But while I do think Tiana is definitely someone who dreams big and has big ambitions and big goals, I feel like this would be somewhat along the lines of her dream while she was working in the cafe or the restaurant. I'm not actually sure if it's a cafe cafe or a restaurant that she works in at the start of the movie. So like this would be her end result. However, she managed to get something a lot bigger, which is good for her, amazing for her. Like, go fulfill your dreams, all that stuff, like congratulations. But I feel like this would be more along the lines of what she would envision for herself before she got to the end result of Princess and the Frog. Does that make sense? Am I making any sort of sense? I don't know. Fever brain might not be completely out of my system. I don't really know. Anyways, so yeah, that is what we're doing today. I hope you guys like this build. It was requested so many times, and you guys know that I love a good home business build as well. So this was kind of like along the lines of that a little bit, totally up my alley. And yeah, I had so much fun with it. I actually wanted to release this yesterday, but while I was building, I decided to just take my time with it to make sure that everything was perfect, that I really enjoyed and liked the end result of building this. So I decided to push it for today instead. So I spent just a little bit extra time on it. I really hope you guys will like the build. It was a lot of fun to do, and I have this like relief right now because sometimes when I go into building community lots, I always feel very nervous about it because it's just not something that I do a lot. I don't enjoy them for a lot of reasons, that being one of them most definitely, but because there is an apartment, like I mentioned earlier in this video, because there is an apartment as well, like it's more like a livable kind of space. It's inspired by an actual house as well, and the whole premise of it used to be an apartment building that they converted into a cafe as well. I like that, so it was a lot more up my alley compared to just building a community lot, which is also one of the reasons that it's a cafe instead of a restaurant, even though I know that Tiana I'm pretty sure she wants a restaurant for herself instead of a cafe. I feel like the two are kind of almost the same at this point, at least when it comes to the culture for that here in Denmark. You can kind of like get the same stuff at cafes that you can at restaurants at this point. So it's kind of the same. It's just like the opening times are different, and then not really depending on where the cafes are. Cafe culture is very big, not right now, but normally it's very big here in Denmark. So I don't know if it's the same where you guys are, but to us, I think the two are kind of like the line between the two is kind of blurred at this point. Does that make sense? So yeah, I decided to turn it into a cafe instead of a restaurant, but with the whole like it being an apartment building that was turned into a cafe, it made a lot more sense to make it a cafe instead of a restaurant, because it would have been hard. It would have been very hard to fit in a restaurant into this building, I think. Maybe not. Maybe I just misremember what the requirements for a restaurant in The Sims are, but I feel like fitting another kitchen into this building basically would have been a little bit hard. So that's basically what kind of made the decision for me, I suppose. But I hope that's okay though, even though I'm pretty sure, like I said, I've only watched Princess and the Frog once, I think maybe twice actually. So, but as far as I remember, she is more into the restaurant business than the cafe business, even though technically they're in the same business, but you guys get what I mean, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so it's a cafe instead of a restaurant, was my point, so I just had to explain that. So yeah, I hope you guys will like this build, as I said, like a million times already. I just had a lot of fun with it, so something like stuff that's really enjoyable to me to build. I always hope that you guys like it a little bit extra. Does that make sense? Because I enjoyed it a lot, so I want you guys to enjoy them a lot as well. And yeah, also I think this is actually uploaded as the cafe to the gallery. I'm not sure if I changed it to a residential lot before, because I had to change it to a residential lot to take the screenshots at the end of the video. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of guests everywhere, basically, and like strangers. Randomized Sims, you guys know, no, I just know we're not doing that. So I had to turn it into a residential lot for that. But I'm pretty sure the uploaded version is actually a cafe. And I still don't know how that works. Like, do you buy the cafe with get to work, and then how do you live in the building as well? I'm not really sure how that works, but some people seem to be able to make home businesses work in the game. I don't know if they have mods or whatever is going on there, but if some people can make it work, I am sure that it's functional somehow. So I'm gonna leave it up to you guys though. I've not done a voiceover since Monday or Tuesday, and honestly, I feel like I am so rusty, and I might have been rambling for 15 minutes now and none of it made sense. That's how I often feel when I do my voiceovers. Like, I'll completely forget what I've talked about like 10 minutes ago, but I'm hoping it makes sense, so I'm gonna leave it in there. Anyway, it's kind of like, because you have to talk really fast, and then also, or not fast for my sake. I'm Danish, I can't talk fast, you guys know what I mean. But still, like, you have to sit here and talk while coming up with things to talk about after the subject that you're talking about. I just said that in a very complicated way, but yeah, and when you've not done a voiceover for a while, it gets really nerve-wracking. But I hope that everything has made sense so far, and yeah. Also, I would like to say for the interior of this house, I think I mentioned it earlier, but it was a little bit inspired by Tiana's palace in the way that there were these lights hanging, like these ceiling lights that were kind of like yellowish. They looked so cozy. They just, I don't know, they had like, they gave something to the atmosphere of the interior of that place. So I wanted to find lamps like that in The Sims. I decided to go for ones that were from Cats and Dogs, actually, these ones. And then I chose the more golden kind of swatch. But I couldn't really get the lighting to be the perfect light, how do you say, the saturation, I suppose, as the ones in the palace, but I don't know, they kind of look like it. And then also, I think, as far as I remember, there was a lot of yellow in her palace as well, in the Tiana's palace, the restaurant, and she also had a lot of plants. So I decided to go a little bit crazy on the plants. Not overly so, because rooting issues, with it being a cafe, you're gonna have a lot of Sims walking in and out of this place, and I wanted to make sure that it was actually functional for gameplay. So, which I hope it is. But yeah, so there's not like an abundance of plants, but I've definitely, if I was lacking decor for some corner or whatever, I would put in a plant. And I hope that's okay. But it was highly inspired by her palace. She has like plants everywhere in that restaurant. It's totally my vibe. Like, why does it not exist in real life? I should go there, you know? Although I don't think I'd be able to afford anything on the menu. I have a feeling that that place would be pretty pricey, but with everything that she's gone through and with how hard she works, she deserves that. She deserves a very expensive menu. I just am a peasant and can't afford it. So anyway, I really miss going to Disneyland. This really brings out the completely, like, I'm a child at heart, basically. Like, I don't know what it is. Some people are like that. I'm one of those people, and I love going to Disneyland. It's the same with my sister. She's not a lot older than me. She's 7 years older than me, but she also just loves Disneyland. I think I love it a little bit more than she does, though. Like, don't tell her I said that, but I'm pretty sure I do. I think when we went to Disneyland in 2018, it was in Paris. My whole family, so it was me, my ex, my mom, my brother, my two sisters, my sister's boyfriend, my other sister's boyfriend, and also my two nephews. We were a lot of people. Also, by the way, I just miss going on trips like that, because I just miss it. We've not been able to for a year now, and it's not become normal for me personally. I used to live abroad. I used to go back and forth between Scotland and Denmark quite a lot. I used to go to the US as well, to London too. Like, there was a lot of traveling, and it's just been so stuck for the past year. So anyway, but yeah, would love to go on a trip like that at some point. But I was talking to my mom before going, and she was like, your nephews are looking forward to this so much. And I was like, Mom, there is no way my nephews are looking forward to going to Disneyland more than I am. I know that I'm an adult, but I love that place. So I definitely want to go at some point when it's like safe and stuff again, because it's not even like they like the characters that are walking around in like their suits and whatever. I like all the attractions, and I love the little, like, they have all these kinds of different decorations here and there. I love that, like everything that's just a reference to a story or a movie or whatever. I just love it. So I want to go back again at some point. I also often think back on, this is kind of melancholic, and I know that it has nothing to do with the build whatsoever, but we're doing a business build, a Disney build, and I need to say, like, I think back on the last trip that I went on before this whole thing started, which was EA Play in 2019 actually, and which means that I was there with a lot of other simmers as well. And on the first full day there, we went to Disneyland, and it was one of the best days ever. We had so much fun. It was just like a perfect day. And I'm really happy that that was my last trip before this all went down. But I miss my friends so much. Whenever there is something Disney, I'll think on that, like I'll think about that day as well, and I don't know, that might just be me. But I really miss my friends. I've not seen them for it's closing in on 2 years now. So yeah, but it was a good day. So I just thought I would share, because every time I say anything, like every time there's anything about Disney, I think back on that day, but also the Disneyland Paris trip that we had with my family in 2018. And I just really want to go again. Plus, I want to see my friends. Like, I want to see my friends. I've not seen them for ages. But anyway, so yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. I don't know why. Anyway, we're moving on. Are we working on... No, we're not working on her apartment just yet. Also, another thing that was like a slight inspiration, does that make sense? I did look at the cafe restaurant that she worked at the start of the movie, and there was a wall, or multiple walls maybe, with like a lot of pictures on them. So I took inspiration from that for the bottom floor here, which you probably saw. I placed like a lot of pictures on one of the walls that was basically like a reference to the cafe that she worked at the start of the movie. I thought it was really cute, so I wanted to incorporate something like that into this build. So yeah, and now we're working on her apartment. I love these couches. Like, they scream New Orleans to me, and I'm not really sure why, but they do. They're from Paranormal Stuff Pack. I'm pretty sure, is that not slightly inspired? Like, it makes sense as well, because isn't Louisiana supposed to be like a mecca for supernatural stuff or something? I want to go for that reason. Like, honestly, it's been on my bucket list for a while. I really want to go to New Orleans. But also because music as well, like, they just have a lot of music history in that place. So yeah, that's another reason. But now that we're talking about traveling and stuff, it's, yeah, whatever, moving on. So I decided to use those couches from Paranormal Stuff Pack. We have, like, they just give like a cozy kind of warm vibe to the place that I feel is very fitting for Tiana. And some candles as well. She has her own fireplace, which I don't know how normal is in... which I don't know how normal is. That sounded so strange. I don't know how normal that is in Louisiana, because I can imagine it gets pretty warm there, but fireplaces to me as a Scandinavian is super cozy. And I wanted her place to be super cozy, so she has one of those. Again, it's this one from Paranormal Stuff Pack. I just felt like that pack was perfect for this house, and I just went with it. Not like everything in the pack though, because I also wanted to incorporate something a little bit more traditional, classic, because I do get that vibe from her, but I've definitely been using a lot of stuff from Paranormal Stuff Pack. I really wish we got a bed in that pack, by the way, because I feel like that's really missing. When I got to the bedroom, I did not know what to do, like what items to use or whatever. That was a struggle, because none of the beds that I had actually kind of fit the room. Also, the room is really small, but it's a small apartment, like, what to do? So yeah, but that was a little bit of a struggle. I'm really happy that I have Paranormal Stuff Pack to build this house though. So you'll probably be missing a lot of items if you decide to download this and you don't have that pack. But also, if you don't have the pack and you got the money for it, I highly recommend it, because the items are so gorgeous. If you were on the fence before, or maybe you've not seen a lot of stuff in that pack, this is not sponsored, by the way, I just want to point that out. But the pack is really good. Like, I love the items in it. I use those chairs all the time, so they kind of remind me of a grandma. Whatever, where's that coming from? I have no idea. But also this item right here, which does not fit into the apartment at all. But I saw it, and for some reason I was just like, this is Tiana in a cabinet. I don't know why. I don't know why. So I decided to go for it. I don't think I've ever used that item before, maybe like once or twice or something, I don't know. But it's kind of cute. It just stores like plates and stuff. So it kind of looks like she has way too many plates in the kitchen now, but don't look that closely. You'll not know. Now that I've mentioned it to you, you'll definitely look, but whatever. It's fine. So, yeah, this is basically what it ends up looking like. I decided to incorporate a lot of yellow because, what is it? Her dress at the start of the movie is yellow. I think the one that she's mainly seen in is blue, or is it green? Or is there there's one of each. I have a Funko Pop of Tiana and she's wearing a blue dress, but when you look her up on Google, she's wearing a green dress. I don't know, it's kind of strange, I'm not gonna lie. But because I don't really remember when she's wearing a green dress in the movie, but I do remember her wearing a blue one. I don't know why I can't remember the green one. However, when I think of Tiana, I actually think of yellow and green, so that's kind of whatever. But I used a lot of yellow throughout this apartment because I know that it's kind of like her sort of color, even though green as well, but I don't like using green that much for interiors. And I know you guys know that I'm all into plants and stuff, but green is actually one of the colors that I don't really like. Don't tell my plants. I know they're gonna be very hurt if whatever. But I feel like yellow works for Tiana, so I went with it, and again, took a lot of those plants as well that she has in her Tiana's Palace at the end of the movie. So like bigger plants, I decided to put a lot of those in her living room as well. Love the paradise, what's it called? Bird of paradise over in the corner. You can't see right now. I know we're on the bedroom, but there's literally nothing going on in the bedroom, so I have to talk about something else. Don't you see what I mean with the bed though? Like it does not fit in, but I don't feel like any of the other ones do either. If I'd gone for the city living one, which probably would have been the one that fit in the most, or the best, whatever, it would have been too big for the room because it's a canopy bed, is that what it's called? I think that's what it's called. So I just feel like that wouldn't have fit into that room because it's so tiny. It's unfortunate. I wish we got a bed with paranormal stuff pack. So that was my point. As for the backyard, or whatever this area is called, I decided to first of all, place down some tables with some chairs, but I also made these little lounge area with these benches right here actually, and I feel like they turned out so cozy. So if you come here with a bigger party than just 3, you could either fit around the table on the bottom floor, or there's also a table for 4 on the second floor. Or you can sit here in the backyard in the lounge area, which I think is so cozy. So you can like grab a coffee if you're into that, or a tea or whatever. You can sit over here in the backyard and just chill with your friends or family or whoever you're chilling with. I love that, and I don't know, I feel like it would fit perfectly into the backyard. Plus, I can imagine it being pretty good weather as well. I mean, this is built in Willow Creek. I completely forgot to say actually. It's built in Willow Creek on a 30 by 20. I just did not mention that at all, completely forgot. But, so that means that the weather is not necessarily the greatest all the time, but I could imagine in New Orleans, it would be pretty good, right? Like, isn't it kind of southern for the US? Isn't the weather usually isn't it very humid and warm in New Orleans? Or am I misunderstanding something? I've watched a lot of True Blood, which I believe is in that area, and it's warm all the time, so that's what I'm going off of. So if it's anything like it is in True Blood, I feel like it would be super cozy to be able to sit out in the backyard and enjoy the weather. Maybe not with a hot beverage then, but like an iced tea or something. So I decided to give them some lounge areas in the backyard. And yeah, I think that's about it. So we are going to be wrapping up this voiceover now. Hope I wasn't too rambly, but it's the first voiceover that I've done in like 5 days or so. So I'm a little bit rusty anyway, but I hope you all enjoyed it. If you like this build, you can download it off the gallery. My ID is AvelineYT, and you can also find it under the hashtag Aveline or AvelineYT. And as always, you can find the tray files on my Patreon, which will be linked in the top of the comments section, in the pinned comment, and also in the description. If you like Roblox, check out my Roblox channel, and if you like lifestyle videos, check out my other channel. Both will be linked to in the description box, maybe also in the pinned comment. comment, I think. I don't know, we'll see. And yeah, I think that's about it. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you did, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye!